Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Ill Factor from beatacademy.com, and we're continuing in a series that I've put together in showing you how to get the most out of your stock plugins from your DAW, just covering the basic fundamentals of what those stock plugins do and how you can use them to shape the mix and your creativity for your projects. So we're going to continue with our second category, the dynamic stage. We're going to talk a little bit about multiband dynamics, what exactly it is, and how do you use that for your projects. So let's dive right in. So I'm going to be focusing our attention on the multiband dynamics. And if you're following along on another DAW, your Pro Tools or Logic, GarageBand, or any of the Fruity Loops, the layout might look differently for you, but the principles and the concepts are exactly the same. And I'm not going to spend too much time covering the fundamentals of what the compression or how compression works. We did that in our last video, so I definitely recommend that you go and check that out. But what makes this multiband dynamic different than a standard compressor is that we're really combining an equalizer and a compressor together. Before, the standard compressor will allow any audio that passes the threshold to go back below the threshold. And we're really just we're sandwiching in and getting a good consistent volume with that audio source. Here, we're now focusing on specific frequency bands, and then we're compressing that frequency band. So I have this on the drums, and let's just say that the low end of the drums, the kick and maybe even some other tones that are there are really problematic. They're just jumping ahead, and the cymbals and the high end part of the drums are pretty cool, but the low end is just pretty massive. So I want to use this multiband dynamic to just compress a little bit of the low end frequency. So if I solo this section here, that means that anything below 120 hertz, 100, in this case now 118 hertz, is going to be compressed. And then here's where you can determine whether you want an average, like to compress the average volume, or just the peaks. And in this case, I want to go ahead and maybe just focus on the peaks at the moment. Now the bottom letter T is going to represent the attack and the release of the compression. I can go with a slow attack by increasing this all the way, or lower it to have a very quick attack. And the same thing with the release. And the button over here above is determining the threshold and the ratio. See the little box here, this rectangle? If I expand that, that's also the same thing as lowering the threshold. So once the audio creeps into this invisible box here, that's when the compressor takes place. That's the threshold. So let's do this. So the low end is clearly going to be compressed. It's inside the box. It's passing the threshold. But now we're set to a 1-to-1 ratio. So there's no compression happening. So we're going to click this and lower this so that the ratio increases. Now we're at 2, 3. So let's go ahead and see what that sounds like. You can see how it's actually affecting it by squashing or just lowering the ceiling so much that it's now hindering the bottom end to even breathe or move. So I'm going to back off the ratio a little bit. And then I'm going to go into here and then just determine, a little bit slower attack and a little quicker release. So if I just bypass this, and if I play this again, now the best way to really determine this is unsolo this and listen to the compression. And the way I like to use this compressor is dial down the threshold of that specific frequency band, and you can really hear the effect that it's causing. So right now what I'm doing is just controlling the low end so it's not sloppy or all over the place. And once I've used the compressor here just to focus in on that specific frequency, I can then make up the gain here. So I can use the output knob here to determine just to give a now more consistent volume on the output. We can do the same thing with the other bands as well. So I'll lower the threshold. Let's increase the ratio. Now, the slower the attack, the more punch I'm going to get. The quicker the attack, the less punch I'm getting, but more body. So I have to determine, is that what I want from the mids of that sound? So you can see how the multi-band dynamic is now allowing you to go into specific frequencies and compress that frequency. Definitely recommend that the best way to approach and learn and train your ear to realize when or how to use your multi-band dynamics is just by practicing soloing the bands or having them all together and just cranking the threshold and seeing how much the compression for that frequency is affecting the loop as a whole, or the signal as a whole. That's the best way to realize, okay, I know what this is doing. But that's the gist of multiband dynamics. It's allowing you to compress specific frequencies so that you can get a nice consistent volume from that frequency band. And if you're thinking, well, why would I want to do that? That would lopsided. Well, think of it. If you have a kick drum and a bass player playing at the same time, and you might want to use a multiband dynamics to control maybe the bass player, sticks out farther than the kick drum and things like that. So you can control now the bottom end and have a more smoother, consistent dynamic approach to that. So it's a good way to balance out, even frequency-wise, any difference with your dynamics. Well, I hope you found this video helpful. And as I mentioned, this is a part of a mini series that I've put together and helping you get the most out of the stock plugins that you have in your DAW. So definitely subscribe so you can stay up to date with the upcoming videos in this series. As well as for watching, I have a gift for you that I'd love to send you. It's a sample pack from some of my previous projects. It's filled with construction kits, loops, one-shot hits, kicks, snares, hi-hats, percussions, transition effects, and things that you need if you don't have any sounds to work with and you're just starting into producing music. This is a great way to start. And it's 100% royalty-free, so you just click, drag them into your DAW. It works with any DAW for that matter. So it's absolutely yours free. Just click the link below in the description box and I'll send this sample pack to you immediately. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.